Do you think that this of season 4, episode 4 of Invincible, was it filler or not?
It was definitely filler.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I do think it was filler.
Surprised?
Well, if we're gonna be super technical, I'm gonna say it's it's slash canon slash filler.
Okay, explain.
I think it's filler because technically it's anime exclusive. We don't get this hell mini adventure in the comic. We do get the slight, like, Mark does go back and forth with his emotions, and we don't really get to see that big thought process until he gets the new suit back, and there isn't really much dialogue between then.
Yeah.
So while, like, at the end of this episode, we do see Mark deciding to get his new suit, which is canon, that happens.
Yeah.
But the majority of that episode, it's anime only. It's filler.
Yeah.
They gave us this little mini adventure to show us the real life battle that Mark is going through in his mind.
True.
The whole time that Damien Darkblood is speaking to him about hell and, like, their politics and the way that they live, without, I don't know if he's doing it knowingly or not, but he's relating it to what Mark is going through at that time.
So let me cut in here before you move on with that. My stance is that, is it filler? No. Is it the worst episode of this season? Possibly the whole show? Yeah, I would say. I would think it might be. I didn't particularly find it that interesting. I wasn't, like, on the edge of my seat. I thought it was funny, but I wasn't like, oh my god, this is so peak. It wasn't, but I do think it's canon. There's a whole conversation about what's canon, what's not canon. I mean, the literal creators of Invincible is working on this show. So, like, and he's not going to be like, hey, what we're watching right now is not canon because he's helping making it. You know?
see.
So it's not like a George R.R. Martin situation where he gets kicked off the show and he's like, it's not canon. It's not what I want. Like, it's nothing like that. And I'm only making fun of him because, like, dude, start writing. But, like, this dude put the fries.
Pick up a pen.
Pick up the pen, dude. Yeah, I'm pissed off at you, brother. But it's not in that situation. It's literally the creators working on this show, and he is, and he's made multiple. He's talked about it multiple times. He's written about it multiple times, where he was like, "I want to expand Damien Darkblood's story because it was never followed up on in the comics."
Okay, no, that's fair.
So, like, that is something that he wanted to do.
Cool insight.
Like, yeah, literally. But, like, it's not filler, man. I mean, like, it's everything that's been going on in this season makes sense to have this little adventure about Mark finding himself, and we talked about the satanic propaganda.
Satanic panic.
We talked about that in another video, so go check that out on this channel. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, buddy. So go check that out. Like and subscribe.
if you're watching the live.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, buddy. Yeah, just have it. So no, for like that's a whole other conversation that we had. That, like, sure, you could take that part and you could separate it and not pay attention to anything else, but you're doing that to your own detriment. Like, you're not fully seeing that during this episode. He goes to hell, he fights his demons, he finds himself, like, Mark finds himself able to possibly move forward in his life. And it's ironic because at the end of the episode, he has to go back to his life that is like, oh, hey, Omniman and fucking Alan the Alien
starting to rapidly change.
Yeah, so it's like he's once again dragged back into what his whole own life is, and this is just constantly the story of Mark anyway. But, like, to say it's filler, and I'm not just shit saying whatever you're saying. No. It's just like what I see online is that people are saying it's just fucking filler, and, like, it's really not just filler. Like, you gotta pay attention, and, like,
that's why I like I don't mean to cut you off,
no,
but
go ahead.
But that's why I like the the title of canon / filler for me.
Yeah. Continue. Yeah, like it's I mean, they've done this so many times in the show where it was like, the whole bit where he's like putting his helmet off, putting it back on, and he's like being funny, and they're like, and that's a funny moment. And they're like, this is the epitome of filler. They've never done this before. It's literally the first fucking episode of the entire show. You have John Hamm, I think his name's John Hamm. Whatever actor that is, him and another security guard outside of the Pentagon are talking, and they're talking about his kid and how his kid came back to his life, and he's like, it's been really tough on him as an adult, and all these things are going on in his life, and it's like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
And it's like, that conversation makes no fucking sense. But strangely enough, they continue that plot line later on because Mark's bag of trash that he threw up in the air ends up landing in front of them, in front of the son and the dad that was having the conversation. He's like, I love you, Dad. And they hug. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, that doesn't matter. But my point being is that they've done this multiple times in this show. Have those types of conversations in this show. They went to C2E2 in the first season. And,
I forgot.
Oh, whatever. Yeah, I think it was whatever. They went to a con, and they had the whole conversation with the comic book artist. Like, sometimes they change the animation style just to choose different artists, and it's like, they've done this shit in canon episodes. And yeah, that stuff was in the comics, and those were just scenes ripped from the comics onto the page. But the thing is, it's not out of the fucking ordinary that's the type of bits that they run in this show. So, like, it fits in pretty perfectly to what they're trying to accomplish. And maybe we'll see more of Damien Darkblood because he gets sent back up to Earth at the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. And, like, maybe that's a whole Earth storyline because, like, whatever, I'll go into the spoiler zone. Like, Mark leaves Earth, and Earth has to deal with its own shit later on, and It's like, we're gonna need to go back to Earth, and Earth will need to have its own things. So, like, it's not filler. It's not filler. Do you have a fight back on that? Is there a fight?
No, I still think just because of I relate it to anime, and I specifically kind of relate it to like Naruto filler / canon episodes, where the filler that's in those episodes is to help connect canon events that don't get a lot of explanation in manga.
Debatable with Naruto. Super debatable. That's a terrible one to choose.
Okay, but like that's what it does, sure. Though. That's what okay, maybe Naruto's a bad example, but that's what filler canon episodes are supposed to do. Yeah. So that's kind of why I lean towards that. But I don't think what you're saying is incorrect.
Yeah.
So, but I also don't think what I'm saying is incorrect.
No, I don't think so. In regards to Invincible, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all just
Naruto.
It's all just a matter of perspective and like what aspects and what knowledge you have and what you're taking away from the episode. I think, like, if you're thinking about it in terms of it being fully filler, though, I do think that's wrong.
Yeah.
But only because, like, we're for the fact that we are getting more insight onto this storyline,
right?
And these individual characters, and I actually really like how they were in your face about Mark, like, battling his demons.
Right.
I actually really liked that because Mark seemed to notice that at the end, that he was like, oh, maybe I actually like needed to like actually live through this.
I need to go through hell and back.
Yeah, right. Like, it's so fucking funny. It's funny how ironic it is.
Yeah.
Especially because the villain of the episode is a character that can't die, that she just keeps coming back, and however slower or less powerful it makes her, Mark still has to keep coming back and killing her. And he's like, okay, maybe I need to assess these situations more thoughtfully, and maybe if that situation infers me to neutralize that threat, if it's for the betterment of millions upon millions of people, maybe that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I think it really taught him more thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
And in a funny way, kind of to be more empathetic and like about what different people are going through, especially like if you think about it, like you think demons are all like bad, fucking, you know, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And Mark learns, at least in this universe, that they're just trying to ensure that the rest of the world doesn't fall into ruin the way that they had seen it prior.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that with Mark and his invincible persona, it's like he has such a like.
Thank you for loving our house.
He has such like a hard time trying to differentiate between like what makes a hero, what makes him as a person, as a man, like what makes him, right? So it's like this episode,
is he man or is he Viltrumite?
Like,
man
yeah,
Muppet.
And he's been compared to his dad a lot. I mean, you start the episode with him going to Art and talking with him about like, maybe I am my father, and it's this whole thing. And it's like I mean, like a lot of people are saying you could just start the first 5 minutes, cut the middle part out, and go to the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, well then you're just like reading the comic and you miss a whole bunch of insightfulness.
I've always said that the comic of Invincible and the show Invincible is like you could read / watch both of them, and like you kind of get different perspectives on the same thing. And it's like you get added perspective from the comic, and you get added perspective from, like, if I were to watch just the show and then read the comic book, like I just went back and I read up until Thrag and the Earth thing, and we'll talk about that when that happens. I'm not gonna spoil it, but like that's pretty far on for people that know. And like, there's a lot of stuff in there that I'm like, wow, they just skipped over. They didn't talk about this in the comic book, and they talked a lot about this in the show. And I think that's great insight. So like if I were to watch the show and then go to the comic, I'd be like, oh, they just went right to what's happening forward. And it's like, okay, this is the main storyline. And so like a lot of things could be considered canon, but not to like drag on this topic for that long, but like, what do you guys think in the comments? And let us know. Do you guys think this is like filler, or do you think if you think it's the worst episode ever, fine.
Are you guys calling your local satanic temple today?
Yeah. So like, let us know in the comments below what you think about that.